This week, we're celebrating 200 episodes of the basics with one that's long overdue. To audiences in the early 2000s, this spot was what Bumblebee is to kids of today. The archetypal, heroic young Autobot with a need for speed and a heart of gold. These are the basics on Hotshot. The first Transformer named Hotshot appeared in the 2001 series Robots in Disguise. A recolor of the 1995 Autobot Blowout, he transformed into a Porsche 959 sports car and was sold in a 2-pack with fellow Autobot Rev. Hotshot was the leader of the Autobot ninja team, the Spy Changers, his serious demeanor hiding a kind and caring nature. The character originated in Japan, where he was named Artfire, but he was renamed Hotshot when the series was translated for Hasbro markets. It was the following year that the definitive Autobot to bear the name Hotshot was introduced, in 2002's Transformers Armada. Unrelated to the Robots in Disguise character beyond their shared name, he transformed into a yellow sports car and came packaged with his Minicon partner, Jolt, a tiny helicopter who connected to Hotshot to unlock his action features, converting his rear axle into a huge bazooka. At one point early in Armada's development, Hasbro were considering naming this Autobot Bumblebee, after the classic 1984 character. And while that might have suited his color scheme, in terms of personality, Hotshot was much more like the 1986 Autobot Hot Rod, a speedy, hot-headed youngster prone to disobeying orders and rushing into action, who had the potential to be a great leader if he could only learn patience. In fact, he was so much like him that Hotshot was actually renamed Hot Rod for the Japanese market. Armada served as the big relaunch of the Transformers franchise for the 21st century, ushering in a new era of the brand that reinvented its world and characters, and Hotshot was its poster boy, appearing in comics, animation, and all kinds of merchandise. In particular, he played a central role in the Armada cartoon, which charted his journey from impetuous youth to seasoned warrior. He learned the price of overconfidence when he lost the powerful Star Saber sword to the Decepticons. He was forced to confront the sins of his past when his old friend Wheeljack, who he had long ago been forced to leave for dead on the battlefield, returned for revenge. And he even temporarily took on the heavy burden of leading the Autobots when Optimus Prime was believed dead. Late in the series, a Minicon Power Boost upgraded Hotshot into his Power Links form, which further emphasized his similarity to Hot Rod with a color scheme based directly on the classic character. Beyond the cartoon, one of Hotshot's most memorable appearances was in the mini-comic that came packaged with his toy. But not because of the comic itself. What made it infamous was a parody created by fan Matt Marshall, who rewrote the comic to depict Hotshot as a cartoonish simpleton obsessed with jam. The gag became the most significant fandom meme of the era, so famous that it was even later referenced in official media years after Armada ended. And for good or for ill, it remains one of the things Hotshot is best known for among fans today. Hotshot returned for Armada's 2004 sequel series, Transformers Energon, by which time he had further matured into a level-headed, senior-ranked Autobot battle commander. In this series, Hotshot could combine with his fellow Autobots to form larger robots. He continued to appear regularly in both the Energon cartoon and comic book, fighting to stop the Decepticons from stealing Energon to revive the monster planet Unicron. Energon was followed in 2005 by Transformers Cybertron, the third and final installment in the new continuity that Armada began, which came to be known as the Unicron Trilogy. Hotshot continued to play a big role in this series, sporting another new form that also based a lot of its design cues on Hot Rod. Cybertron followed the Autobots on their quest for the long-lost artifacts of power, the Cyber Planet Keys. Sent to the Cybertronian colony world of Velocitron, Hotshot took part in a racing tournament to win the planet's key, during which his old impetuous instincts came back out, as his love of speed and drive to prove himself the fastest led him to push his body to dangerous limits, until his fellow Autobots arrived to remind him of the value of teamwork and help him win the race. Later in the series, Hotshot, Red Alert, and Scattershot were all badly damaged in battle with Megatron, but were saved by an infusion of energy from the Transformers' god, Primus, that upgraded them into new forms. Trading speed for power, Hotshot became a heavily armed, armoured car. Together, the reformatted trio were called the Cybertron Defense Team, named for the role they played in purging their homeworld of an infestation of robotic scrap metal insects. Off the back of his central role in the Unicron trilogy, a new incarnation of Hotshot was planned to appear as a major cast member in the next TV series, 2007's Transformers Animated. But in the name of synergy with the new live-action movie, he was dropped during the show's development and replaced in the role of the Autobots' insubordinate young speed demon by Bumblebee. The show didn't completely forget about Hotshot though. He had a brief appearance in its third season premiere in 2009 as a member of the Autobots Team Athenia, who got his leg blown off while defending a space bridge outpost against a Decepticon attack. And a toy of him was in the process of being designed, but the premature cancellation of Animated meant it was never released. With Bumblebee's return to prominence, taking up the role of the youthful hero destined for greatness that had once been Hotshot's, there was sadly little room in the new series of the next decade for the bot who had, just a few years earlier, been one of the brand's biggest characters. Though he would reappear more than any other Unicron trilogy character, Hotshot still only received a few new toys and minor media appearances during this time. Most significantly, highlighting his status as the series' signature character, a new toy of his Armada form was released in 2009 in the Transformers Universe line as part of its celebration of Transformers' 25th anniversary. Other incarnations of the character would appear in the Transformers Prime toy line in 2012, a retool of the Bumblebee of that series. In 2014's Age of Extinction line, a recolor of the Autobot Crosshairs that turned into a Chevrolet Corvette, with colours inspired by classic Corvette Autobot Trax. And he made an assortment of cameos in IDW Publishing's comic books, most prominently appearing as one of the telepathic Transformers known as City Speakers from the colony world of Caminus. It was in 2018's Rescue Bots Academy that Hotshot was finally able to enjoy a major starring role again, thanks to the series being set in its own little corner of the Transformers universe, focusing on the next generation of younger Autobots. This version of Hotshot was a talented but self-centered athlete, skilled in the Cybertronian sport of Cube. He was invited by Optimus Prime to put his skills to better use, learning to become an emergency first responder at the Autobots' Rescue Bot Training Academy on Earth. Hotshot's competitive nature and lack of experience with rescue work meant that he struggled to fit in at the academy. So to help him, Prime gifted him a multi-cog, which allowed him to assume 3 different alternate modes: an ATV, a jet, and a hovercraft, but only 1 per day. Hotshot's time at the academy, learning from his teachers and his fellow recruits, particularly his friendly rival Wedge, and mastering tools like his water-spraying gauntlets, sonic blaster, and chemical combi cannon, taught him the importance of teamwork and friendship over competition and personal glory. When his old buddy Scorch invited him to join his Pro Cube team, Hotshot used the lessons he had learned to take the team to victory, but ultimately decided that the academy was where he really belonged. Eventually, with the help of his friends and his mentor, Heatwave, Hotshot unlocked the full power of his multicog, removing his 1 mode a day limit and granting him a 4th alternate mode, a fire truck patterned after Heatwave's own vehicle form. Following his return to prominence in Rescue Bots Academy, Hotshot would also show up in the Siege toy line in 2019 with a Cybertronian Jeep alternate mode, a retool and recolor of that line's Hound figure that paid homage to his Cybertron Defense toy. In this form, he appeared in IDW's Tread and Circuits miniseries as a member of the Wreckers, an Autobot undercover unit masquerading as a travelling stunt show investigating crimes on Velocitron. And most recently, a new toy of Hotshot's original Armada form was released in the Transformers Legacy toy line in 2023, proving that while he might not be the headliner character he once was, he is still rightly remembered as the star of the series that relaunched Transformers for a whole new generation. And those are the basics on Hotshot. Which of his many forms is your favourite? Let me know in the comments. Thanks to all of you for watching for 200 episodes and soon to be 200,000 subscribers. And I hope you'll all stick around because there are still many more stories to come from the world of the Transformers.